Welcome to the Run It Back Podcast, where we run back everything from the 80s and 90s. I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah.
And today we're running back 1994's Pulp Fiction.
Yes.
Yes.
So, just off the top, I want to make it clear that this movie says fuck 265 times. It is not Tarantino's. It is not the movie that Tarantino made that says the most fucks. Because that goes to Reservoir Dogs in 1992 with 269 fucks. It is the most fucks in a movie by a wide margin in 1994.
I mean, a lot of them... What was it, R?
Was this movie R?
Yeah.
This movie where they say fuck 265 times?
Yes.
And do heroin and cocaine and murder people and there's actual brain chunks?
Well, my question
was it rated R?
Don't get mad at me. The question's legit because censorship is fucked up.
The question's not legit.
Yes, it is because...
That's the stupidest question I've ever heard.
Because there is a rating past that, NC-17. Would somebody have tried to make it NC-17 just based off the language?
I'm sure he probably had to go to the mat for it.
Because just as we said the other day, we're listening to a song that I remember. I know for a fact that motherfucker came on the radio. They bleeped out. No, they didn't bleep out anything in this song. They're just talking about fucking openly. But if you said Corona or the word beer, it got beeped out.
Now, I've talked about being a big Kevin Smith fan before, and I think 3 or 4 of his movies they wanted to make NC-17, and he had to, go to the mat and fight and beg, basically, and they made them R's.
Why would...
Language.
See? That was a legitimate question.
You are right. I wasn't thinking higher because nothing is ever rated NC-17, ever. I was thinking, is this PG-13?
No.
I was like, fucking no, dumbass.
I saw where you went with that real quickly, and I tried to throw up the hands and be like, hear me out.
But for all of the fucks, and fuck isn't the most problematic thing in this movie.
No.
Because...
No, it's not.
I would say that would be the N-word with the hard ER.
A lot of time.
A lot of time. But it's a Quentin Tarantino movie, and that's what you're signing up for, is hard ERs. 5 for Mr. Tarantino himself, in case you weren't keeping score at home.
I think he likes the shock value.
I think he likes the shock value, too. He is very problematic. I mean, it's 2020. He's definitely... They've tried to cancel him 700 or 800 times now. But, he's definitely a weird cat. And the foot fetish. His foot fetish is so fucking real. I think he only likes Uma Thurman for her feet. I think her feet turn him on. Every movie she's in, which is fucking all of them, he has her barefoot and a close-up on the feet.
You don't think that was Weinstein's doing?
No, I mean, he says he has a foot fetish. He'll answer to that. But I think he is full fucking boner for Uma Thurman's feet.
I'm not trying to knock it, but that's a weird... are there people out there with hand fetishes?
I want y'all to know that he is checking his hands out so hard right now when he says this.
Are there people out there with hand fetishes?
I'm sure.
Elbow fetishes?
It's the rule, right? Rule 78 or what the fuck ever, if you can think of something, there's porn of that on the internet.
That has never been proven false in my experience.
I don't think Rule 78's right, but it's something. Some number. But now, for all of its fucks and its N-words with the hard ERs, it was Entertainment Weekly's best film of the past quarter century in 2008. It was the American Film Institute number 7 all-time gangster film. It was number 94 on AFI's 100 Years Top 100 Movies in 2007.
Number 7 on the gangster film seems kind of high.
And it was on the all-time greatest 100 movies list from Time magazine in 2005. Plus a whole plethora of other shit. It was nominated for 26 awards. It won 8 of them, including Best Original Screenplay at the Oscars. But yes, number 7 all-time gangster movie does seem high.
Alright, gangster movies. Goodfellas, Casino, Godfather, Godfather Part 2, Godfather Part 3. Scarface. Did I miss all those?
People are screaming at us.
Yeah. What else? I know I'm missing some.
Would you consider Blow to be a gangster film? I can't even remember what ones you said. Any movie that
Blow's more of a drug film about an individual. It doesn't really show the Ray Liotta.
Any movie that Ray Liotta's ever been in.
Not any, but a lot of them. Like I feel like there's a few where he makes cameos in where they're definitely like, oh, if we can get him to do this, it'd be great. Like he's George's dad in Blow. Definitely feel like this movie's up there for me because I like it, but I don't know if it's number 7 on the top gangster
Now,
movies.
the people later in Ratchet Reviews are going to make some hard assumptions about you because you like this movie. Hard.
Well, this movie is different. It's very non-linear. Like you're here, you're there.
Well, now that is a Quentin Tarantino staple. His movies are characterized by non-linear storylines. The aestheticization of violence, extended scenes of dialogue, ensemble casts, pop culture references, and the songs of the 60s to the 80s.
What the fuck does aestheticization mean?
Yeah,
That's not a word because are you trying to say that they are beautifying violence? Or are you trying to say that they are...
I think it's like glamorizing of violence. I want you to know that I did not come up with that word.
I'm just
that
pointing
I copied
out
that word
this
down.
person thinks that they're smart because they think aesthetics means pretty.
Well, this was...
Aesthetics could be ugly.
No.
You can have very bad aesthetics. Like, okay, think of aesthetics as optic PR. Quentin Tarantino dropping the hard R is bad aesthetics for a lot of people, right?
I would like to think for most people.
But you know it's not zero.
Aestheticization or aestheticize represent something to be beautiful or artistically pleasing.
I don't.
You gonna argue with Webster's?
Yes, Webster's has drastically dropped in my opinion from when I was in middle school, high school.
Well,
because all you gotta have is 25,000 dumb fucks use that word and put it in a blog article that happens to get picked up.
Nouns are verbs now.
I mean, language changes, but sometimes words should not be counted.
All right, this is a 3-hour-long movie, so like maybe we start talking about the movie.
This is the best part.
If y'all want to grab a snack.
Best part when we go off the rails.
It'll go. So don't worry.
It's very non-linear, jumps back and forth, and you'll see that it definitely not only back and forth between groups of people, but also
it's the tiniest, wommiest motherfucker that's not Doctor Who.
Yeah. So this movie happens over about a day.
Yeah.
And really, most of it's within about a 4-hour period.
It's a hell of a day.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely 2 days. Because there was the day of the fight, and then there's the day after the fight.
It would have to be 2 days because it's nighttime.
Right.
During the day, it's nighttime for the fight, and they're definitely not the same night.
Right.
Gotcha. So we open up on a diner. You have this couple. They're not really arguing, this kind of debating back and forth.
Pumpkin and Honey Bunny.
Yeah. So through their conversation, you basically learn that they rob liquor stores. They're trying, like, Pumpkin wants out of that.
They're having the classic "one more job and I'm out, man" kind of speech.
But eventually he comes around to telling her she had a great idea when people walked into the liquor store grabbing their wallets. They made more off the wallets than the cash register. And he's like, why not rob a place like this? Why do people rob restaurants? People aren't expecting it. She says you cut down on the hero factor of somebody trying to stop it. And they say, fuck it, we're doing this. And he jumps up.
Well, hold on. Can we have a little bit of an aside here?
Yeah.
Honey Bunny's on that shit, right?
Oh, she's definitely got another fucking gear that she hits.
No, I just mean like she's on some type of drug in a hardcore fashion because only your A-level drug addicts drink your coffee the way she did.
How did she drink?
She put about 19 cups of sugar and about 13 things of creamer in.
So she just made brown milk
sugar. She needed that sugar to like help her ride it out.
Yeah. But she also hits another gear when he jumps up and it's like, we're robbing you all. And she's like, motherfuckers!
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Somebody in the reviews, and I don't think it's a review I'm using, said that they didn't think the beginning was in English. And I was like, I think it's like, they're English, right? Like, it's the fucking Queen's English, bitch. Like,
I think he is English. Her, I think she was American.
But either way, I was like, what do you mean the beginning wasn't in English? Like, they were English. So they jump up, they start to rob the diner, and then it transitions to another story.
Yeah, you get Jules, played by Samuel L. Jackson, and Vincent Vega, played by John Travolta, in a car, and they're on their way to murder people, but they're just having, your normal BS
to them,
conversation.
They're just on their way to work.
Yeah, they're on their way to work.
So they're having a conversation about Amsterdam. Vincent just got back from Amsterdam after being there for a couple of years. And they're talking about what you call a quarter pounder with cheese in France.
El Royale.
Royale with cheese.
Whatever.
Because obviously they have the metric system over there. But they're gossiping like a bunch of little girls. Talking about how Marcellus, who's the guy they work for, killed a guy for massaging his wife's feet.
And they have this
Well, he didn't kill him, he didn't kill him. He dropped him out of a 4-story window through
like a greenhouse,
a glass greenhouse. Didn't kill him, but he doesn't talk right now.
So they have this argument. It's like, it's just, Jules arguing that it was a little over the top. It was too far. And Vince is not really saying it wasn't too far, but he was saying that it definitely, Tony, the guy that they threw off, shouldn't have done it because it was a foot massage. And
well, they start debating. He said a foot massage is like eating his wife's pussy. And he said,
Vincent said they're in the ballpark. Jules like, there is no motherfucking ballpark. They're not in the same thing.
He said, so you rub a lot of women's feet, right? And he was like, yeah, I'm great at it. And he was like, all right, my feet kind of hurt. Would you give me a foot massage? He was like, you're pissing me off now. Stop it.
But I don't think Vincent ever got around to saying it. But I feel like a lot of people be more upset about the foot massage than actually them fucking each other.
Why?
Because the foot massage shows that you care about them or whatever.
I gotta tell you, I'm missing out on some goddamn foot massage action. Like, they all talking about it. Mia Wallace is getting them. Now it's worse than fucking somebody or eating their pussy. First time I've said pussy on this show, and we're up to 3 now.
I don't think it is the first.
No, I've said cunt a lot. It's my first pussy. Nobody rubbing my feet. What the fuck? We gonna talk later.
We'll see.
We ain't seeing shit. We've been together 20 years. If you're gonna rub my feet, you'd have fucking done it by now.
It'll last about 4 seconds. You better get off me.
I think you would intentionally hurt me, so I would think you were bad at it.
So they're having this argument. They actually get to the apartment a little bit early.
Like, seconds early, because they're like, let's go down here and hang back for a minute, and they say like 2 more sentences to each other and then go in.
They're just making sure they have their shit right.
But you find out that Vincent is supposed to go take care of Mia while Marcellus is going to be out of town for a couple of days.
Yeah. So that's why the whole Tony thing is a little, I guess, daunting.
Yeah, he's a little upset. He don't know how to play it.
So they do decide to come in, and they just open the door and come in, and you got dude laying on a couch eating his hamburger while he's laying down because he's special. I don't know.
Now, you got 3 white kids and a black kid.
You only see 2. 2 white kids and a black kid. Nobody knows about the guy in the bathroom.
No. There's one in the kitchen, one sitting down, one on the couch, and the black kid in the corner.
No, the one in the kitchen is Vincent.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They have driven through and gotten food for breakfast. They have cheeseburgers for breakfast.
Kind of weird.
At 7:30 in the morning. From a Hawaiian cheeseburger place. The fuck?
So, Jules is asking what they're eating. I've never had cheeseburgers from there. Can I try? He takes a bite of his already half-eaten cheeseburger.
Oh, yeah.
Gross.
In the world of coronavirus, this movie is a problem. People eating and drinking after each other through the whole thing, sweating on each other.
So, then he takes a drink of his Sprite, which is gross anyway.
Yeah.
Not the Sprite's gross, just drinking after somebody.
So they're looking for a briefcase.
They don't get that far. He goes, we're here because of your business relationship with Marcellus Wallace.
Right.
He's like, what does Marcellus Wallace look like? Kid keeps saying what? And it's the famous say what again motherfucker line. He's like, does Marcellus Wallace look like a bitch to you? He's like, no. Then why are you fucking him like a bitch?
Yeah, he doesn't like to be fucked by anybody but Mrs. Wallace. But the kid on the couch tells him the briefcase is in the cupboard.
Vincent goes and gets it.
Right.
Opens it up.
And it has a glow.
Like a gold glow to it.
Yes, it does.
Jules asks, are we happy? And he's like, we're happy. Shuts the briefcase. Comes over. Samuel recites his...
Well, he shoots the guy on the couch first.
He shoots him just
because the other guy was giving him shit and he didn't like it.
Yeah. I think it was to get everybody's attention.
Right. It's rough shit when you kill somebody to get everybody's attention.
Yep. So Jules recites his Bible verse for a close rendition.
Right. It is made up.
Do you want me to read it?
Quentin Tarantino made up the Bible verse except for the last two lines, which are actually from Ezekiel 25:17.
All right. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the inequalities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who, in the name of charity and goodwill, shepherds the weak through the valley of the darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper and the fonder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers, and you will know that I am the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon you. And then they both, Vincent and Jules, just blast holes in the bread. The main
kid, yeah.
Then you got Marvin in the corner. They tell Marvin to calm down.
That's all you see from that right now.
And then it goes to...
Butch and Marcellus.
They're in a bar, and...
I believe it's a strip club.
Either way, it has alcohol in a bar.
Yeah, but a strip club has titties.
So here you learn Butch is a boxer. Marcellus is bribing Butch to take a fall in his fight coming up. Tells him in the 5th round he goes down. And he also tells him, it's like the night of the fight, you're going to feel a little sting in the back of your neck.
Right.
He's like, don't let that bother you.
That's just your conscience.
Just
pride.
Just take the money and we're all going to be rich off this.
Yeah, he keeps telling him that he's never going to make it as a boxer and he's old, and if he was going to make it, he would have already.
Yeah. So why not take this opportunity to make himself some money?
It doesn't really add up to anything in the movie that you see, but I am going to take this opportunity to say that Marcellus has a giant-ass Band-Aid on the back of his neck.
I'm guessing he must have had like a pimple.
We'll talk about it.
Does he have a tattoo there?
He has a scar, but we'll fucking talk about it later. I like that you go with a pimple. That's the weirdest shit.
So then he cuts to Vincent is at a drug dealer's house. You learn his name is Lance, and he is buying heroin.
Actually, before you leave the strip club, Vincent and Jules show up wearing different clothes than what you just saw them in. They're now in t-shirts and shorts, and they do not look like clothes that they would have ever purchased on their own. And they're there to see Marcellus to give him the briefcase.
Yeah. So you have a gap in what the fuck happened there.
Yeah.
And then you have, at the bar, Vincent and Jules were waiting on Marcellus to finish up with Butch. Butch goes up to the bar, asks the bartender to buy some cigarettes and some matches. And him and Vincent have a little...
Yeah, he calls him Punchy.
Yeah, a little standoffish there before Marcellus calls Vincent over. And then it cuts to Vincent at the drug dealer's house.
Right. Now, this drug dealer is like the king of the upsell.
Yeah.
Like, he could be selling anything he wanted, I believe, out in the real world. Like, he could be, like, selling cars or houses or like, anything. Because his drug deal pitch was pretty good.
So he sells him on the good shit. Vincent reminds him, he's like, hey, I've been in Amsterdam for a few years. Don't pull this shit with me.
Right.
And he was like, it's good. So he buys it. He's like, hey, can I shoot up here? And then he has, like, the really old works bag with a reusable needle and the syringe, which is gross to me. and throughout this whole movie, anytime you see a needle, people are just handling it. Like,
I know, I don't know if it was that time or a time later, but he touches the actual needle part. Both. And I look over and you're just like, oh!
Both. So, Ben shoots up. He has little...
Yeah, he shoots up there. He's
dream.
bitching about somebody keying his car. It's been in storage for 3 years, and then somebody keyed it today. And it never shows who did it or talk about it any further, but Quentin Tarantino said that Butch did, in fact, go outside and key his car after he called him Punchy at the bar.
I could see that.
Yeah.
So after he gets done with his little, get high session and calms down, later that night is him and Mia.
Right. Well, he's driving to Mia's house. He's still pretty fucked up.
He's still a little fucked up. But I think he got a little fucked up to just kind of...
chill out about it.
Get through the night.
Now, Quentin Tarantino apparently has a friend who is a recovering heroin addict. And he coaches people in all of Tarantino's movies about how to pretend to be one. And he told Travolta, in order to be a convincing heroin addict, he needed to get drunk, specifically drunk on tequila, and then lay in a hot pool for at least an hour to give the closest representation of the effects of heroin.
That's weird.
That is weird. And I will say, we have it on mute in the background, multiple close-ups of Uma Thurman's feet just now. The sides, the tops, the bottoms, her soles are dirty, like all of it.
So he shows up to take her out. She's waiting. She's getting ready. She does a couple lines of coke. And then they go out to...
Now, they have a hell of a security system at their house.
Yes.
Like, she leaves a note on the door that the door is unlocked. She's getting dressed. But they have, like, a full-on, like, a PA system. And then she has a joystick in her room where she's moving the security cameras around, watching him. Which, I mean, I guess if you're, like, a crime boss situation, you probably need to. So they're going to go to Jack Rabbit Slim's, which is, like, a 50s diner. And she's caught ahead and made a reservation for a car. So they're going to set, like, their booth as a car.
Now, what's funny is we're looking at this place, and there's that place in Tennessee, and I like, this is like that old diner place, but with energy.
Yeah.
And he said, she asked what he thought of it, and he's like, it's like a wax museum with a pulse.
Yeah.
Because that place was dead. Like, it was very...
What place?
It was just
one of
called
the 50
diner.
diner places we went? Yeah.
It was more... The waitresses were dressed more like nurses in a sanitarium from that era, and you kind of felt like it was just uneasy.
Yeah.
Like, am I really in a diner, or am I having a hallucination that I'm locked up somewhere and I'm trying not to be there?
Well, a burger was about $20, so hallucinations?
Yeah, it was. Like, it would be better if the food was good.
Yeah. I'll tolerate a lot if your food's good.
But it wasn't. Like,
no.
Like, when most people hear $20 for a burger, you're like, I'm probably not going to spend that. It depends on if it's good or not. If it's not good.
Now, I got a vegetarian burger, which I've had various places, and they're usually all right. This one was interesting. It was bright pink. Jason was like, is it safe for you to eat that? Like, can you undercook a plant? Like, do you... Yeah, it was just bad. But anyway, did we talk about her snorting coke at home? Yeah. I guess it was coke.
It was coke.
Okay.
It was coke, and you kind of gives it a little bit of explanation for it later. Hold on.
So they're at the restaurant. Buddy Holly is their waiter, and he is played by
Steve Buscemi.
Right. Just the teeny tiniest little cameo.
Now he was in Reservoir Dogs, but he looked older.
Well, and this one he looks like Buddy Holly, so I guess he looks dead.
I mean, he looks real young.
It's makeup,
I guess. So they're ordering food. He wanted to go to a different place anyway. He wanted to get a steak.
Right.
She's like, they got steaks here. He orders a steak.
You can get a steak in here, Daddy-o.
She was in character from the get-go.
Yes, she was.
She orders a $5 shake, and he's like, wait a minute. Did you just say order a $5 shake? Like milk and ice cream shake? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, y'all don't put any bourbon or anything? He's like, oh, yes.
And did you hear... They asked if she wanted it...
They said two different people's names, and she said the one.
It was two different groups of people, but one of group of people was white and one's black. They wanted to know if she wanted it chocolate or vanilla.
Wow. Wow.
He asked if she wanted it Martin and Lewis, so Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, or Amos and Andy, so vanilla or chocolate.
I did not catch that.
Yeah.
So they order, the food comes, well...
They make
small talk.
They had an uncomfortable silence, and she said she was going to go powder her nose, and he was going to sit there and try to come up with something to talk about. And by powder her nose, she means she's going to go to the bathroom in the middle of all these other girls and snort the biggest, fattest line of coke she could make.
She got some real good shit, because she said, I said, God damn!
Yes, she did.
I guess. I don't know. She came back and she was a little more chipper. Their food was already there. And he wanted to try her milkshake because he wanted to know what a $5 shake was. Or maybe the shakes came out first.
It don't matter. It doesn't matter.
She got vanilla. Yeah,
she ordered it Martin and Lewis. So he takes a drink of her shake. He takes multiple drinks of her. He moves the straw. I mean, he's still touching it by the part that goes on her lips. But he moves it and she's like, you can use my straw. I don't have cooties. And he was like, maybe I do. And she was like, I can handle cooties. So he puts the straw back in and drinks right after her. But so she asked if he's come up with anything to talk about. And he said, yeah, but she has to promise not to get offended. She talks about how she can't do that because, she could get offended and no fault of her own. She's broke the promise, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I want to know what you feel about what happened to Antoine.
She says that they're talking about the whole foot massage thing. She says that they gossip worse than women do. The only thing he ever touched was when he shook her hand on their wedding, whatever.
Right.
But when they did the whole uncomfortable silence thing, she talks about when you know you're with the right person when you can just shut the fuck up for a minute.
Mm-hmm. Is that why you never talk to me?
I always talk to you.
I mean, yes, you talk to me more than you talk to other people, but... So, it's time for the twist contest?
Yeah. Well, it's just a dance contest. They start out with the twist.
They say the twist contest.
Yeah, it's just a dance contest.
He says, and now it's time for the twist contest. So they get up there and they do the twist. He doesn't want to. And she was like, Marcellus told you to take me out and do whatever I wanted. I want to dance and I want to win that trophy.
Yeah.
So they go up there and dance.
I thought it was weird that they both took their shoes off.
Well, you have to take your shoes off to adequately twist.
Do you?
Yeah. You don't want that friction from your shoes. And Quentin Tarantino likes feet. Particularly her feet.
Now, when they started this competition, they didn't realize that they were allowing people on PEDs to compete. Because she's all coked up. He's on heroin.
Yeah. Is heroin really a performance-enhancing drug for this, though?
You've seen Jimi Hendrix and...
You don't think it kind of slows you down more than peps you up?
Depends on your tolerance and how much you take.
He did spend the extra $200 for the good shit.
Yeah, I mean, he's already been through the laying down part of that.
Fair enough.
So, it cuts to them coming home, and she has the trophy in her hand.
Right. Now, I missed it, but they said that there was a part where they talk about they didn't win, they stole the trophy from who did win. I don't know if it was cut out or I just glossed over it or what.
I didn't get that either. I thought they just won.
No, I think they stole the trophy.
So they come in and they get a little too close, and she's like, music and drinks, and he's like, I gotta piss.
Right.
So he goes in the bathroom, and he is basically talking himself through this, like, do not get yourself in trouble. I'm just gonna have one drink. I'm gonna be respectful. I'm not gonna be rude. I'm gonna have my drink, and I'm gonna leave.
I'm gonna go home and masturbate, and that's gonna be that.
That's all you're gonna do.
Right. But she puts on music and she's dancing around, but what the fuck kind of music player is that? Like, that's not a real thing, right?
That is a real thing.
That can't be a real thing.
So the cassette tapes were like miniature cassette tapes based off of this. It's the same tape that's in there, it's just bigger. But they also had CDs under there.
But that was a real thing. That
Yes.
wasn't like some Tarantino fever dream invention.
I'm pretty sure that's a real thing. Have you seen the old tape recorders that they use? They have the 3 reels. The one reel just keeps tape stretched out, and then it goes through, and the thing plays what passes through it. It was that kind of tape.
Okay. But she is wearing his jacket.
Yeah, and she eventually sits on the couch. She's playing with his lighter. She lit like one of his cigarettes. Then she finds a bag of powder, which I'm kind of assuming she thought was coke.
I'm sure she thought was coke because that's what she's been using, but it was the good heroin he bought earlier.
And she overdoses.
Very fast.
So he comes out of the bathroom and she's like passing out, kind of threw up a little bit. And he's
more like a foaming at the mouth situation. Her nose is bloody and
throwing up a little bit.
Oh, it was gross. But she sniffed it and immediately was like, oh.
I think they were just...
And went out. I was like, boy, that was fast.
I think they were trying to say it was good shit and they were speeding things along. So Vince is like, fuck, we gotta get out of here. I gotta get you help. He gets her in the car and he calls Lance up, says, I'm coming to you.
Who was his dealer?
I'm coming to you. And Lance's like, no, you're fucking not.
Yeah, you can't bring an overdosing girl to your dealer's house.
And he's like, wait, are you on a cell phone? I don't know you. I don't...
Prank call!
Which... Why would you talk? It's easier to tap a landline than it is a cell phone. As we've seen from the greatest show on earth, The Wire.
But cell phones are unsecure. They're
True.
not a secure line. So, he takes her there anyway. Drags her out of the car. Gets her in the house. And Lance, is that what you said his name was? He tells his wife to get an adrenaline shot out of the refrigerator. And he's looking for this medical book that tells him how to do it.
Yeah.
which him and his wife are pretty toxic for each other.
Oh.
Like, I know it's a high stakes kind of situation going on right there, but damn, they're just yelling and screaming at each other, like, not the best place. The other girl is just on the couch still smoking her bong, like, unbothered.
That's your typical drug house.
So eventually, he never finds the book. He tells Vincent he's gonna have to give her a shot of adrenaline straight to her heart. He has to find the exact spot for her heart, gets a magic marker and marks it. And he's like, you have to stab her in the heart, but you have to get through her breastplate. So you have to stab her hard enough to get through that, straight into her heart, and then push the plunger down.
Yeah. I thought it was weird he grabbed the magic marker, because you don't want to add anything to the skin.
He was trying to, like, mark her heart. Also, that's when he full-on grabs the needle before he
well, they both did. When Lance was putting the needle onto the syringe, he just had it.
Yeah.
So gross.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. But
not only does she have, like,
heroin and adrenaline and
heroin overdose, she's
all
gonna
the
be
germs.
Septic soon.
Yeah, the owner of this trap house done caressed her needle. So they said that Tarantino bought a fake torso to do this, but didn't like how it looked, so he threw it away. And then they put it against her chest and recorded him pulling it away as hard as he could, and then just played it in reverse to make it look more realistic, since you never show it going through her chest anyway, you just hear the pop.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But boy, she popped right out of it.
Oh yeah. But she was definitely going through it.
So she pops out and she has this syringe dangling from her chest, right? And this needle was fucking long.
It's like a good 5 to 7 inches.
So if I have to reach down and pull a 7-inch syringe out of my chest, I'm going back nighty-night. Like, I'm not going to make it through that. So he takes her back home. And I just want to say A+ to the makeup team, because she looks like death on the ride home.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she looked like Lydia Dietz from Beetlejuice.
Yes.
Like, dead on like her. She goes to walk in the house, and he's like, so, what's your feelings on your stance on what's going on here? And she's like, well, what's your stance on it? And she was like, well, if you tell Marcellus, I'm definitely dead. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm in just as much trouble as you are. No one needs to know about this.
And he's like, I don't think you are.
Yeah.
But she decides to tell him her Fox Force 5 joke.
Yeah, from the pilot she was in.
Which, when she first said it, he thought she said Fuck Force 5. And he was like, what?
Yeah, it's a joke about a family of tomatoes. And the dad crushes the baby tomato because he's running behind and says, catch up. It's a horrible joke. I am a purveyor of horrible jokes, and that one's too bad even for me.
So then you cut to
Baby Butch.
Basically, little Butch, and his dad was captured in a POW camp, eventually killed. One of the guys that was in the camp came to their house to give him his dad's watch.
Right. It was more like a family heirloom, because it was like his great-grandfathers and so on and so on.
Yeah.
Gave it to each generation as they went away to war. Now, it's a totally endearing, heartwarming story.
Until you learn it's an ass watch.
Until Captain Kuntz says,
that his dad
your dad hid it in his ass for 5 years. Then he died of dysentery, which is where you shit yourself to death. And then I hid it in my ass for 2 more years.
Yeah. This thing's just been an ass the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if there's enough Clorox in the world.
I mean, I'm sure it's clean by then.
Kill 7 years of ass and some dysentery. But little Butch just reaches up and grabs it. Which then
it's a weird story to tell the kid.
It was a fucked up story, yeah.
So then it cuts to Butch the night of the fight, which he is supposed to fix. They tell him it's time. He punched himself in the face a couple times. He goes out there and he fucking murders this guy, literally.
Yes, he actually beat him to death. Now, he didn't seem to know he died.
No.
Because he won the fight and immediately skedaddled on out of there.
Well, that was their plan to begin with, because he used his money that Marcellus gave him up front to bet on himself after all.
Right.
He said when he told the guys, like, once everybody knew the fix was in, the odds went skyrocketed. So he bet on himself, won
with
all this
like
money.
8 different bookies.
Yeah. So, and they basically did that because it wasn't him that went and made the bet.
Right.
They did that to kind of cover their tracks a little bit. But he takes the taxi home, and the whole way he's like throwing his boxing gloves, his trunks out the window, and the Esmeralda, the taxi driver, is talking to him.
Yeah. She's the one that tells him that he killed the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had no idea before that. But she's hella crazy, right? Like, she just keeps asking, like, how it feels to kill a man, and very weird. Like, she really needs to know.
So eventually he gets to the hotel they were staying at, him and his girlfriend. He gives her the cab fare and some extra money to keep quiet.
Right.
So then he comes in and his girlfriend Fabienne.
Well, first she takes him to a payphone where he's calling the guy and getting the money together, and said they're going to leave in the morning for Tennessee. I don't know where this takes place. Oh, it takes place in Hollywood. Never mind. Says he's going to leave in the morning for Tennessee. And then I have his wag. I wasn't sure if it was his wife or his girlfriend. I've decided that it is his girlfriend, because she's too goddamn crazy to be his wife. Fabienne is fucking wild. She is wild. Like, he comes in, he turns the lights on, she tells him to turn them back off. She wants to make spoons, so, like, she wants him to lay down and cuddle with her. And then she starts talking about how she wants to have a pot belly. And, like, she never's like, how are you? Or how'd it go? Like, just all this nonsense.
She just wants to have a baby, man.
I wondered if she wanted a baby, but she never says that.
That's what the whole potbelly thing was.
No. She never says that, though.
Yeah, but what's the only way to get a potbelly without any
He does say he would punch her in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, wait a minute. The whole time you didn't realize she was talking about getting pregnant.
At one point I was like, does she just want a baby? And then I was like, but that's not how she's sounding, and she's so fucking crazy.
She wanted a baby.
Well, at one point I wondered that, but she's just so fucking weird. And I guess so, because he says, I would punch you in it, which, I mean, not great, but she says she never listens to his fights. And then she said, we're in danger, aren't we? I was like, yeah, bitch.
I'm in danger.
So, they're just talking about this, and they talk about how they're in danger, and he killed this guy. And then she says, will you do mouth stuff on me? And he's like, yeah, will you kiss it after? I was like, is this the time to fucking trade mouth shit? Like, what the fuck are y'all doing?
They don't gotta leave until 11 in the morning to catch a train.
I guess I didn't realize at the time that they were in a hotel. I thought, I just didn't put it together as quickly.
You didn't put a few things
I guess. So, I guess it's okay, like, they don't have to make an escape. They are in a hotel, but still, I think I'd be a little more cautious. Also, this man just got done in a professional boxing match where he killed a dude, and he wants to go shower, and instead they decide to just fillet each other. I'm like, maybe let him catch a quick shower.
So, he goes to bed.
Well, hold on. Because they do take a quick shower after. And he calls her a retard. And then...
she says mongoloid.
And he kind of makes fun of her by impersonating how a differently abled person might sound.
Yeah, by being an asshole, he made fun of it.
Yeah, it's a highly problematic fucking movie if you... Whew. Like, it was hard for me to come up with a way to even say what he did. God damn.
So in the morning, they wake up. She's watching some kind of war movie.
Which is not how you want to wake up.
Yeah.
It's like a loud motorcycle and war, and this dude's like scared for his life.
He's getting ready. They're going to go out to breakfast, and then they're going to catch their train. But he's getting ready, and he can't find his watch, and he's like, did you get the watch? And she was like, yes. And he throws a fucking temper tantrum. He ends up throwing the TV, because she's not 100% sure she got the watch. And now he's got to go back and get it. Me personally, yes, it's sentimental. But would you risk your life for an ass watch?
Well, I mean, it's been in the family for like 5 generations or so here, so gotta do what you gotta do. So he tells her he can't go to breakfast with her. He gives her money for breakfast, and then he gets in the car to go to his house. He says if it looks like he can't handle it, like if there's gangsters around, he can't handle it, he'll just leave. But he is losing his shit in the car, like beating the steering wheel and screaming and yelling. Fuck her, how fucking stupid is she? I mean, if it's the one thing you can't live without, maybe you think you would have thrown it in your gym bag on the way to your fight.
It was his fault. He should have had, if that's the only thing he cared about, he should have had it with him.
You'd have thought.
So he has to go home. He does the smart thing, and he parks like a block away and goes through another block to get to their apartment complex.
Right.
Just kind of see what's going on. He's a little hesitant about opening the door. He gets in there and he's like, oh, it's fine. So he gets his watch, and instead of getting the fuck out like normal people...
Yeah, like he definitely should
he
have.
decides, since he's going to miss breakfast, to make himself some fucking Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
He puts the Pop-Tarts in the toaster. Pop-Tarts in the toaster, and...
realizes there's a fucking giant gun on the counter.
And he's
with
like...
a silencer.
And then he hears something in the bathroom.
Right.
So he's like, okay. So he picks up the gun, and Vincent Vega walks out. They stare each other down for a little bit. And as soon as the Pop-Tarts pop up, he starts shooting.
Right.
So he kills Vincent Vega.
Don't worry, he'll be back.
Back is not the right word.
In the movie again. Then the fire alarm starts going off. The smoke alarm from the Pop-Tarts start going off. So he's got to get out of there quick. He lays the gun on an end table in the living room. And then he gets a tissue, but he only wipes down one side of the gun. Like, he only wipes down the side that's up. He doesn't pick it up and wipe down the other side as well. But he gets in the car and leaves.
So he's driving around.
Real proud of himself. High and mighty.
Trying to go back to the hotel. He's at a stop sign. Or no, he's at a stoplight. And...
goddamn Marcellus
Wallace is walking across with some donuts and some coffee. Because presumably he's there for him.
Right.
Butch realizes it, just punches it and runs him over. Runs through Marcellus Wallace through the intersection and hits a pole on the other side. A bunch of people are around Marcellus trying to help him out. He gets up and some girls saying that she'd go to court with him, whatever.
Kathy Griffin.
I thought that looked like her.
Nobody else looks like her.
They point out like he just ran right over you. And
yeah, because he kind of forgot again. He was like, who?
So he looks over where they point, and it's fucking Butch.
Like, motherfucker.
He pulls out his gun and tries to shoot her. He misses.
He
hits
shoots
some
that
other
girl.
lady.
Yeah.
Him and Butch are all fucked up. Butch is trying to get away. He chases Butch down an alley in a street, and Butch fucking walks into the wrong goddamn pawn shop.
Right.
Like, if there's one place on earth he shouldn't have went, he went right to it. He waits for Marcellus to come in and kind of ambushes him as he comes through the door. He's about ready to shoot Marcellus, and the pawn shop worker is like, gets his shotgun out, and he stops him.
Right. He makes him put down his gun. He tells Butch to come here, and then he knocks Butch out with the butt of his gun.
Yeah.
And calls Zed. Tells him the spider's got a couple of flies.
Yeah. So
next time you see them, they're tied up and ball gagged in the basement.
Yeah, it got weird from there. Like, it was weird when the guy called.
Did it?
This movie takes a weird-ass fucking turn. And this is where
Anytime the ball gags come out, shit takes a weird turn.
Yeah. So, they're both tied up in the basement with the ball gags. Zed arrives. Zed's some kind of police officer.
He's a security guard.
They're trying to figure out which one they want to fuck first.
Yeah. Zed tells him to bring out the gimp.
So the guy that was working the pawn shop goes in, unlocks a box, and pulls a man...
a fucking crate.
...out of this box.
Yeah, in the full leather gimp mouth zip outfit.
I was like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah. Well then, when they're trying to figure out who they're gonna fuck first, they do the eeny, meeny, mo, who am I gonna fuck in the ass?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo?
I said eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
No, you said eeny, meeny, mo.
I skipped. I'm excited for the ass fucking.
You're the only one. You, Zed, and whoever that employee was.
I don't know, the Gimp seemed pretty excited too. He kept touching himself.
That was weird. So, the Zed decides on Marcellus.
Marcellus was the winner of Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo. Or loser.
He was definitely the loser.
Also, in Eeny, Miny, Miny, Mo, he doesn't catch a tiger by the toe. No, nay. With a hearty R.
He catches brown backwards with a toe. Brown backwards is the N-word.
Okay. Alright. Hearty R. Yeah. Whew. This movie, though.
They tie up the Gimp and tell him to watch Butch.
Yeah. They tie him to the ceiling. I don't know how.
Yeah. So they take Marcellus back in the room, the fuck room. And I guess start going at it. And Butch, meanwhile, gets out of his ropes, breaks his chair, and gives the Gimp a right hook and knocks him out, which is probably not good because he's hanging by his neck after he falls. And Butch is out. He's out scot-free.
Yep.
And he decides to come back. He's looking around the pawn shop for a weapon. He's got a hammer.
It's like a video game advancement of games. It's like the hammer, a baseball bat, a chainsaw, a samurai sword.
So he settles on the sword. Comes back down to the basement, and he slowly pushes the door open, and you see Marcellus Wallace, and we haven't mentioned it yet, and if you haven't watched the movie, I don't know why you haven't watched the movie. Ving Rhames is Marcellus getting pounded by Zed as the employee.
Big old Zed taking him to Pound
Town.
The
employee is like the NRA mascot, just holding his shotgun and beating off.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So the employee sees him, turns around, and Butch kind of cuts him from the shoulder down diagonally.
Yeah. And
then does walks in front of him and stabs the swords backward through his gut.
Right.
Zed unpenetrates Marcellus Wallace and is backed up, and they have a whole exchange where Butch is like, "You want to grab that gun, don't you? Go ahead, do it. Do it."
But meanwhile, Marcellus has undone his restraints.
Marcellus Wallace has gotten the shotgun up, and he's like...
Tells Butch to move.
Yeah.
Shoots him right in the dick. What?
Now, this movie came out when I think I was in middle school. I didn't watch it for a long time.
Yeah.
The first time I ever saw this movie was this scene scrolling through the TV channels, and it was heavily...
That explains a lot about you.
Heavily edited, but it wasn't edited for visual content. It was just, whenever there was a cuss word, it was just silence.
How do you show this movie?
I don't know.
265 fucks.
I'm sure they cut some out, but
that's not counting the N-words.
They did not
or
cut this
the other
scene
racial
out,
slurs.
because this scene's kind of important to the plot.
It's kind of suggestive anyway. It's not like they're showing penetration or nothing.
He was standing behind him.
I know, but there's
grinding.
no booty hole.
So I watched the rest of this going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because, at this point they have the conversation. Butch's like, "You okay?" And Marcellus is just like, "Nah, man. I'm pretty fucking far from okay."
Which I have to say, you say a lot.
And Butch is like, "What now?" And Marcellus talks all kinds of shit about, "I'm going to get some two heavy-hitting pipe dudes.
Something.
And basically all this, they're going to beat the fuck out of Zed. They're probably going to
torture him, instead go to work on him with some pliers.
They're probably going to insert a few things.
They're going to rip him apart.
It's just not going to pretty. It's like, what now between us? And he was like, "Oh, that what now?" And he's like, "There is no me and you."
Yeah. And
he's like, "We cool?" He's like, "Yeah, we cool."
On two conditions. He doesn't tell anybody what happened tonight, and he leaves town today.
Yeah, and he never comes back. He stays gone, or he'll be gone.
Right. So he goes outside and steals Zed's motorcycle. But I would like to take you on an adventure for a second.
All right.
Y'all want to see Jason get mad? What would you consider? So, Bruce was out and then was overburdened by conscience and went back in to save Marcellus. What would you say is the worst example of being out but going back to save somebody in a movie?
Hostel. You knew it. Hostel. So, if you haven't seen Hostel, these people get trapped.
I'm going to take my break now.
These people get trapped and kidnapped by people who sell the rights to torture these people to various wealthy individuals who pay large sums of money so they can be terrible people and torture and kill people for profit. This dude gets out, but he went back to save the girl next to him, and he is successful. And from the get-go, the first time we're watching the movie, I tell him he needs to stop and go.
Yeah, he don't know that bitch.
He don't know her. Shit's gonna happen. He can go get help. If he goes back in for her and he dies, he can't go get help for anybody.
Right.
He can't stop this from happening ever again. He gets her out. They get away. She sees her reflection in the mirror and one of her eyes is popped out. She's scarred. I guess she feels disgraced. They're at a train station where she saw her reflection. The train comes by and she steps in front of it. That ungrateful bitch.
I have to say that was one of your more laid back retellings of that. Usually you are far more mad at her.
I've had a lot of practice and have learned to overcome the anger that ensues with that one.
All right.
But yeah, he's out. And this guy is definitely trying to kill him. Do you walk out of this?
I mean, he's getting fucked in the ass, right? Like, he's being raped. Like, he went back to save a rape victim.
And presumably killed after the fact. Because they don't know who he is.
Oh, he's gonna be raped and murdered. Yeah. Yeah, best case, he's gonna be raped and murdered. If not, they're gonna stick him in a fucking crate. I mean, they gotta find a big crate for Ving Rhames, but...
But Karma came back and kind of helped Butch out because now he's no longer going to be hunted down.
Right.
As long as he just stays away, he's good.
Right.
Because between him and Marcellus and Zed, nobody knows what really happened there. And Zed's about to die.
So he steals Zed's motorcycle. He goes to pick up his girlfriend. He runs up and tells her, leave the shit, we gotta go now. Like, let's go. And, like, fucking place and time, bitch. Like, she has 1,000 questions. She's talking about whose motorcycle was that? Where'd you get it? I was so worried about you. They were out of blueberry pancakes and I had to have buttermilk. Like, fucking get your ass on the goddamn motorcycle and shut the fuck up, bitch.
When she started to break down, he was like, oh, I'm sorry, it's okay. Did you get the blueberry pancakes? She said, no, I had to get buttermilk. They didn't have the blueberries. So she didn't immediately come out and complain.
Still, time and place. There's a time to ask questions, and there's a time to just fucking get on the motorcycle and shut your fucking mouth.
Yeah, she definitely should have gone. She's like, what happened to my Honda? And he was like, baby, I had to crash that Honda.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he did. He had to. Because, I mean, you got to think, not only did he hit the pole, he probably did just as much damage hitting Ving Rhames.
Yeah. It was a tiny car. But as they pull away, it plays the Psycho music.
But she's like, whose motorcycle is this? And he keeps correcting her. And he's like, it's a chopper. Whose chopper is this? Zed. Who's Zed? And he's like, Zed's dead, baby. And they pull off.
To Psycho music. So we are now back at the first apartment we started at, where Vincent and Jules are there to collect the briefcase from the dudes having cheeseburgers for breakfast.
Yes. They are talking to Marvin. No.
There's the dude in the bathroom.
You see the dude in the bathroom. And before they went in, they're like, we need shotguns for this job, this kind of job. And they start talking like, okay, there's 3 or 4 of them. And Vincent was like, counting our guy? And he was like, I don't know. He's like, so there's possibly 3 to 5 people. Could be. They walk in, there's only 3. But you immediately, you're watching this dude with his big-ass fucking gun.
He's scared in the bathroom, talking about how he doesn't want to die.
But you're hearing the speech.
Yeah.
From Samuel L. or Jules. And you hear the speech go through, then you hear all the bullets, blah, blah, blah. And while Jules and Vince are talking to Marvin,
right,
this kid comes out just guns blazing and misses every single shot.
Yeah, he empties his entire clip. Doesn't hit anybody. Jules believes that to be divine intervention. And he goes and he touches, like, the bullet holes are all around him in the wall, and they are huge. Yeah. Holes.
Well, like, before that, like, the kid gets done shooting, click, 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 and they both kind of look down, like, they look at themselves, and they kind of look at each other, and then they're just like, pull out their guns, and...
Oh, yeah.
Definitely emptied a couple clips into him.
But they go over to Marvin.
It's like, you didn't tell us about this fool in the bathroom with the gun?
Yeah. What, that slipped your mind? So, Jules is convinced it was divine intervention and that God saved his life.
Yes. And Vincent's like, dude, we gotta go.
Yeah.
And Jules is like, no, we're...
The gravity of the moment. He's like, that's great. Do you want to talk about this in the car or in prison?
Yeah. So he's like, yes, it was a miracle. Can we get the fuck out of here now?
Yeah.
So in the car, and they're still having...
They take Marvin with them.
Yeah. I don't know why they took Marvin.
I don't know either.
They still have... here's what my guess is. Marvin has now seen the wrath, right? Marvin was in on whatever operation these dudes was supposed to be doing with Marcellus. Marvin, seeing the wrath, knows the punishments that could be had if you fuck up. Marvin is now going to be promoted to whatever Brett was so that he can relay the fucking message, you fuck up, you will die.
Or he's the inside man.
No, he's definitely not an inside man.
I don't know.
He's not inside man because he is scared to fucking death. Because they ask, Vince turns around to ask him, do you think it was, a miracle or just, shit happens? He's like, I got no opinion.
Right.
And John Travolta accidentally shoots Marvin
In the car. While they're
in the car, in the face, and his fucking head explodes.
He turns back around and just, as matter-of-factly, goes,
Oh, man.
shit, I shot Marvin in the face.
Oh, man, I shot Marvin in the face. That was probably, other than the Ving Rhames, nah, I'm pretty fucking far from okay. That was probably the funniest line in the whole
he says
movie.
it like he spilled the milk. Like,
Yeah.
oh, man, shot Marvin in the face. But blood goes everywhere. The whole car is just covered in blood.
So they're trying to think of what they need to do. They know they need to get the fuck out of the car. Get the car off the road so they don't get pulled over and caught for all this.
So they go to Jimmy's house, which is Jules' only contact in that area, who is played by Quentin Tarantino.
So Jimmy drops the N-word a lot.
5 times.
So he's talking about the dead dude in his garage. Every time I say dude, he means N-word. Dead dude in this garage. My wife comes home and sees this dead dude in the garage. I'm dead.
Do I look like dead dude storage to you?
Yeah, I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so you replace all those dudes with N-words, and you got Jimmy.
So Jimmy doesn't want his wife to come home.
Right.
So he's pissed about it.
I feel like I should say his wife was black.
Yeah, when they show like a rundown of what would happen later on, she definitely was black.
And he's saying all these hard NRs to Jules.
Yeah. But
fucking wild.
Now, Vince has a very peculiar authority problem.
Yeah.
So before you even get to that scene with Jimmy, Jules is trying to calm him down, like, hey, we came into his house and inconvenienced him. You need to like grow the fuck up and like do what we need to do to get the fuck out of this situation.
Yeah, this situation's all fucked up. This is a delicate situation. Don't provoke him.
They're trying to wash their hands to get all the blood off, whatever. Jules washes his hands. He's drying his stuff on a towel. Vince grabs a towel and it's just turning red. And Jules like, what the fuck are you doing? This is the kind of shit that's gonna make him lose his shit and cost us, our lives basically at this point. They come back out. Jules trying to be polite, nice to him, like
complimenting
his coffee. And Jimmy's like, if I wanted you to I don't need you to fucking compliment my coffee. I know how good it is. I fucking bought it. And basically just get down to business. Like,
yeah, what the fuck we doing here?
He's like, my wife comes home at 9:30. You got like an hour and a half to make some phone calls. You need to go fucking make the phone calls.
Yeah.
He's not happy that they're there, understandably. But Vince is still kind of pissy about the whole thing. Jules calls Vincent. No, Jules calls Marcellus. Marcellus sitting by the pool, living the boss's life. And Jules explained the situation to him, and I guess he just wasn't happy with Marcellus's answer. And I forget what exactly. He was like, I need you to tell me everything's going to be okay. I need you to tell me you're sending the cavalry and they'll be here directly.
Yeah, he's really talking to the head of this crime syndicate in a way you would not think you would talk to the boss.
I feel like Jules probably worked for them long enough to where they have kind of a rapport.
I think he was just snapped at that point.
And he was snapped, and Marcellus realized that and said, hey, everything's going to be okay.
He also already knew he was planning on quitting.
Did he?
Yeah, because he was going to quit when the bullets missed him.
And he's like, I'm going to send the wolf. He will be there directly. And he's like, shit, that's all you needed to say.
Yeah.
And hangs up the phone. The wolf, you hear the conversation. The wolf basically just asking the questions that he needs the answer to get this thing done.
One body, no head.
He knew that Jules was black, Vince was white, and he knew about Jimmy in the house and the wife.
Yeah.
So he gets there, and kind of like he's basically a cleaner.
Yeah.
But he also was very good at diffusing the situation, because when he got to the door, you must be Jimmy. This is your house. It's nice to meet you. I'm Mr. Wolf. Blah, blah, blah. May I come in? And he gets his permission to come in. He could be a vampire. We don't know. So he comes in, and he's like, listen, we have, and he discussed the issue
40 minutes.
Was bonding. They got 40 minutes. If you do what I tell you to do, when I tell you to do it in a speedy manner, we'll have plenty of time. Now, get the fuck to work.
He tells them to go clean the car.
But Vince was like, please would be nice. And Jules is like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And Mr. Wolf turns around and is like, listen, I'm not here to be your fucking nanny or whatever. I'm here to get you to save your life and get you the fuck out of this situation. So now, will you please go clean the fucking car?
Yeah, it's a real weird thing to say to somebody who's there to save your ass, right?
Yeah. Like, he's there because you
shot a kid in the face.
You fucked up, and now he's fixing your problem.
Yeah.
He's helping you fix the problem.
Yeah, it's wild.
And he doesn't even know you. He's being paid by your boss.
Right. So it cuts to them cleaning up the car, and Jules is in the back picking up the chunks of brain and skull, and Vincent's up front cleaning, like, the windshield and stuff. And I was like, what the fuck? That's not fair. He shot him in the face. He should be back there picking up the chunks.
Yeah.
And at some point, Jules was like, why the fuck am I even back here? You come back here and pick up skull chunks.
Well, the whole time Jules is back there cleaning up everything, he's just basically handing it to Vince. Like, and Vince is like,
I said I'm sorry.
I'm under pressure here. I could blow. He's like, oh, you're gonna blow? I could be a mushroom cloud laying motherfucker.
Yeah. I get madder each...
And he's like, a matter of fact, you should be back here.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I was like, that's fucked up. What the hell? And then I was like, oh, never mind. They figured it out.
So they get the car clean and they laid the quilts down, kind of camo everything. Then...
they have to go take a yard shower.
Yeah.
Which everybody seemed to take a lot of joy. Like, the wolf and... Jimmy seemed to have taken a lot of joy in. They have him stripped completely naked and shoot him with the water hose while they have bars of soap. And then have him put on some of, like, Jimmy's old clothes.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm sure you boys have been to county. Some soap. And he's like, psh.
Yeah.
So they have Jimmy's old clothes on. Jules is going to ride with Mr. Wolf to...
and to, like a
junkyard scrap place. For... Monster Joe something.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Vince was going to take Mr. Wolf's car. Which I kind of think was also one of them diffusing situations, like, I'm going to trust you with my car. Also, if I don't get my car the way I gave it to you, they're going to be disposing two bodies. So they go...
well, I think he mostly also didn't want Vincent in the car with him.
Probably.
Like, that wasn't going to work out.
Yeah. So... They get there, everything's taken care of, they meet the owner's daughter.
The wolf's going to take her out to breakfast and tells them they can get a cab.
Yeah. She has a very nice, accurate NSX.
Didn't notice.
Because he was like, I'm 30 minutes away, I'll be there in 10.
Yeah.
He definitely got there because of that accurate.
So, Vincent asks if Jules wants to split a cab, and he says, actually, I want to go get breakfast, you want to go get breakfast with me. So the next scene is them having breakfast at the diner from the very beginning of the movie.
Yes.
Where Honey Bunny and Pumpkin are robbing it.
Now, in the original scene, the Pumpkin yells, Garçon, coffee, the waitress corrects him. But him yelling that is kind of like an auditory trigger to where
a place marker.
What point in time you're in that story.
Right. But so they're at breakfast before any of the robbing starts, and he's again talking about how that was a miracle, it wasn't a freak occurrence, and how he's going to quit and walk the earth as a wanderer, just doing different deeds in different towns until God tells him where he's supposed to be.
Yes. But they also talk about how
he doesn't eat
pork.
Me either, brother.
Different reasons. He says they're dirty, filthy animals.
They're cute little love beans.
So they're still having this debate, and Vince is mad that he's going to quit.
Right, because this is his best friend.
And eventually he's like, I got to take a shit, we will continue this out.
He's got to stop taking shits. Nothing good happens. Every time he uses the bathroom in the movie, something bad happens.
Well, this is just technically the first time he's taken.
Yeah, the diner gets robbed, she overdoses, and then he gets shot.
He didn't take a shit, he was just
in the bathroom. Anytime he goes to the bathroom, shit goes bad. Yeah.
So he goes to take a shit, so he misses the whole, full circle.
Beginning
we're
of the
robbing
robbery.
You, and she's like, motherfuckers.
Oh, she is something
She
else.
gets on a whole different aggro level. Then, the guy jumps up and he starts the whole thing. You feel like he's the alpha of the pair, and you're like, wait a minute. This is two alphas. This isn't going to work.
Her adrenaline hits different.
Yeah. So, they're robbing the place. They get the manager involved to try to convince everybody no hero shit. They're taking people's wallets. They get the jewels, and he had his gun out, but he also got his wallet out.
Mm-hmm. His gun was under the table.
His gun was kind of in his lap, because when he walks over, he actually has his hand
right
covering the case. Drops his wallet in a bag, no issue. And the guy looks at him. They just keep staring at each other. He's like, "What's in the case?" And he's like,
I can't give
you the case. So
he puts the gun on him, and he makes him open the case. After some back and forth of telling him he can't, he opens it. He says, "Is that what I think it is?" He says, "Yes." But when he leans in, Jules grabs him.
The gun, pulls it to him, and jacks him up with his gun.
Right.
And he's yelling at him because the girl is Honey Bunny's losing, and he's like, "Tell that bitch to be cool."
Yeah, she loses her shit hardcore.
So he's yelling at him to calm her down. She's yelling at them. They eventually kind of come to an understanding. Everything's quiet, and they're talking it out.
But at that point, Vincent comes out of the bathroom.
Well, hold on. He tells him, "I'm going to count to 3," because the other dude counted to 3.
Yeah.
He's like, "You're going to let go of your gun, and you're going to have a seat in the booth." And he has a seat, and he has him, and he's giving him his whole murder spiel with the Bible verse, and tells him,
He says, "You caught me in a transitional period,
yeah,
so I don't want to kill you."
he doesn't want to kill you. But he was like, "Get my wallet out of the bag. It's the one that says bad motherfucker on it."
Well, Vincent comes out of the bathroom.
Yeah.
And kind of stirs things up a little bit more. He calms it back down. He has his gun on her. She has her gun on Jules. Jules has his gun on Pumpkin. Go ahead.
So he gets the wallet, hands it back to him. He's like, "Now take the money out of it. Count it." So he counts the money. He's like, "How much is there?" He's like, "About $1,500. He's like, "Okay, put it in your pocket." But he wants his wallet back.
Right. That's a bad motherfucker wallet.
It's about not having to go to the DMV at this point.
Probably. He's fitting to wander the earth, man.
So he's like, Jules is fucking pissed. He's like, I'll fucking shoot him on principle if you give him that money. He's like, "I'm not giving him money. I'm buying something with it."
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm buying your life.
So I don't have to kill you.
So I don't have to kill you." Which kind of, I mean, it makes sense, but it doesn't.
He tells him the Bible verse and that he's been saying it for years. But it's only today that he's really stopped to think about what it means and what his role in the verse is.
So, and he was like, he tells him, he starts locking up the case. He's like, "I can't give this case to you because it is something that does not belong to me. It is not mine to give."
Right.
Closes up the case and basically tells them, "Get the fuck out."
Yeah. So they leave. And then Vincent's like, "I think we should probably leave right now too." And he's like, yeah. So they also get up and leave. And the credits roll. And
that is the end of the movie. And right now we are just at the part where Butch is about to run the fuck over Marcellus Wallace while the movie's playing. It's a long ass fucking movie.
Okay. Do you know what's in the briefcase?
I do not. You told me not. You asked me if I knew it. I didn't. And I've been trying to figure it out, but I have no idea. And you said the only reason people knew was because Tarantino said, right?
Yes.
Can you get it from the movie?
Possibly. Well, there's what was in the script originally. And then they took that out. Here, let me just... It's a little bit long, but I'm going to do it anyway. It said originally in the script, the briefcase just contained diamonds. But that seemed too boring and predictable, and it's also what was in the briefcase in Reservoir Dogs. So it was decided that the contents of the briefcase were never to be seen. This way, each audience member would fill in the blank with their own ultimate contents. All you were supposed to know was that it was, quote, so beautiful. At least that was the original idea. Then somebody had the bright idea of putting an orange light bulb in there. Suddenly, what could have been anything became something supernatural. So the prevailing theory is that it's Marcellus Wallace's soul. So it says, if you're anything like me, then you had no idea what was in the briefcase in Pulp Fiction. So through a friend of a friend of a friend who had a 2-hour conversation with Quentin Tarantino himself, I now know. And I thought I would pass along the information because it makes the movie even 100 times better than it already is. Remember the first time you were introduced to Marcellus Wallace. The first shot of him was of the back of his head, complete with Band-Aid. Then remember the combination of the lock on the briefcase was 666. Then remember that whenever anyone opened the briefcase, it glowed. And they were all in amazement at how beautiful it was. They were speechless. Now bring in some Bible knowledge and remember that when the devil takes your soul, he takes it from the back of your head. Yep, you guessed it. What is the most beautiful thing about a person? His soul. Marcellus Wallace had sold his soul to the devil and was trying to buy it back. The 3 kids in the beginning of the movie were the devil's helpers. And remember that when the kid at the end came out of the bathroom with a hand cannon, Jules and Vincent were not harmed by the bullets. God came down and stopped the bullets because they were saving a soul, and it was divine intervention.
Well, I'll be damned.
So, I mean, could be, couldn't be. I guess it's up to you to decide, but it's an interesting theory at least.
So had they always had the Band-Aid on the back of...
The Band-Aid was on the back of his neck at the beginning of the movie because he has a scar back there that he was self-conscious about, and for no other reason.
Now, has anybody asked Tarantino this?
Well, that said, it was through a conversation of a friend of a friend of a friend.
Yeah, but monkeys have 17 vaginas according to that theory.
Who?
Monkeys. Like, you can't believe what you hear from a friend of a friend of a friend.
I don't know. He said that it's up to each person to decide for themselves.
I mean, that makes a good-ass theory.
But it does make a good theory, yeah. Alright, so you ready to talk about the,
Tomatometer? I'm gonna say the critics gave it an 80.
The critics gave it a 91.
91.
What do you think about that audience score?
I'm gonna go lower, probably 70.
96.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's rare that they both go that.
One of the most influential films of the 1990s. Pulp Fiction is a delirious postmodern mix of neo-noir thrills, pitch-black humor, and pop culture touchstones.
It's weird because I feel like a lot of people wouldn't like it because of its...
Oh, we're going to talk about them.
Zigzagging back and forth. But I kind of like those kind of movies.
I do too.
Where they don't... They're like, okay, some people aren't going to get this, but when they do, it'll be better. Even if it takes them a few times, it will be better in the process. This isn't necessarily a psychological thriller like that, but it's...
I mean, this shit isn't Memento or anything. No. But it's an interesting storytelling fashion.
Yeah, because you kind of got to piece some shit together yourself.
Now, I know people really don't like those start in the middle of a story shows an interesting bit and then it stops. It was like, and this is how I got there. But I kind of dig them.
Now, I really like the ones that start at the fucking end and go all the way back to the beginning, but it didn't get there how you thought it did.
Right.
That movie we watched the other day, Knives Out.
Right.
That was really good.
I love Knives Out. It was really good. On Amazon Prime if you want to watch Knives Out.
Because it was, like, in the middle of the movie, you kind of learn everything. You're like, wait a minute. And then it kind of gives you a whole different...
Right. I'm usually really good at figuring those types of movies out. And I did not.
Oh, I forgot to ask you on that one.
I did not. And then even after they told us what happened in the middle of the movie, I didn't see the turn coming quite right. All right. Ready for...
Ratchet Reviews.
So I have quite a few, but a lot of them...
They're probably all the same.
Well, they're very short. I'm going to kind of run them together. All of these are a half-star review. And it's basically... people giving it a lower rating than it should have. Even they know it's a lower rating than it should have, just to bring it down from a perfect 5-star rating because they're mad about it. So all of these are half a star. Messy shit by a racist director. Can't comprehend why anyone giving this higher than 3 stars willingly, but let's agree to disagree. Another one. Not a bad film, I just hate seeing men be happy.
God bless.
Yeah. Half a star. This isn't...
No, let's go back. Let's go back to the I hate seeing men be happy. Like, what kind of militant feminist is this? Like...
she appears to be dressed as Harley Quinn in her picture.
I mean, even Harley Quinn wanted the Joker to be happy.
She did.
She wanted him to be very happy.
Yeah, she did.
That's a disturbed person.
Yeah, I bet this anal rape scene was probably her favorite.
Yeah.
Half a star. This isn't the rating it deserves, but the other people who rated this were right. It's good, but overrated. And I feel the need to tank the ratings for all of the annoying white boys in my media course that love this.
So, I don't understand this, like...
Let me read this one too, because it's pretty much the same. Half a star. Oh no. I seem to have accidentally given this mediocre movie a half-star rating. My finger must have slipped. I can't think of any reason why someone would give a movie that deserves 3 stars, but has an average rating of 4.5 stars a half-star rating. Definitely not to trick the algorithm into advertising that Pulp Fiction is just okay and nothing more. Oops.
I don't know why people feel they need to be assholes. Like, people either... they feel they need to like something because other people like it, or these assholes feel they need to hate something just because other people like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Just shut the fuck up about it and move on.
Half a star. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. But this ass review is for the gaslighting men who praise it.
Wow.
People
Who pissed off the feminists in this?
People are real mad.
Jeez. I feel like they should be happy. They showed a man getting raped instead of a woman.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, I feel like the problematic parts of the movie are the N-word.
Yeah, highly problematic. But, again, that's what you sign up with for him. Like, 2018, 19, he's still doing it.
Like, if you take Jimmy out, all the other context, like this pawn shop is definitely racist as fuck. They got, the dude working there. They got the rebel flag.
You're saying other than Jimmy, it seems to be in context with the movie?
Yeah. Because Jimmy seemed a little gratuitous.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a white dude, I'm going to say this word that nobody likes to hear.
Right. 0.5 star. It has nothing to say, and it says that nothing badly. Still not sure what the plot is, and the insurmountable amount of racial slurs is extremely off-putting, but I guess you can get away with that when you're Quentin Tarantino. Also, it's really tiring seeing his fetishes displayed in every film he does, with the feet shot, foot massage talk, and always a clever pussy-eating insert. If it's a cult classic, I don't want to be a part of that cult, and I think I should have watched Thelma and Louise like my first mind suggested. Who sits down to watch a movie and is like, it's either Thelma and Louise or Pulp Fiction? I love Thelma and Louise, but if I'm in the mood for Thelma and Louise, it's not between that or Pulp Fiction.
Is it between that and A League of Their Own?
Yes! You're goddamn right it is! If I want to watch a movie about some bad bitches, it's going to have Gina Davis in it.
Yeah.
Mind-reading son of a bitch.
Step aside, Butch.
He has just tapped out on these reviews and is just now watching the movie.
I don't know. I just try not to put negative shit out into the world, if at all possible. But I'm not going to go to a website and take the time to... First of all, you have to log in to leave these reviews. You have to leave the review, take the time to write all this shit up. So you just wasted your time.
Yeah.
And they do it, a lot of them do it just to hurt the ratings.
Yeah, a lot of these are just to take the ratings down lower because they want to make it a 3.
If you're willing to do that on something so trivial... And you do that enough, like eventually you get numb to doing it, so you'll do it to real people.
Now,
and that makes you a terrible person.
I will say every review I have read has been left in 2020, where people are burdened with an overabundance of time. And negativity. And negativity.
Did you weed out all the cancellation reviews, or did you just not find that?
About Tarantino?
A lot of things in this movie could be the whole cancel culture shit.
The one talked about racial slurs. I tend, when I do this, to try to find the funnier ones, not the more serious ones, and I knew we were going to talk about it ourselves, so I didn't need to make fun of it in the comments. Alright, I only have 2 more, but the last one, I'm saving the last ones. 0.5 star, this isn't it. Yeah, the movie's in reverse. Who cares if we get to see some feet? Thank God we saw some feet, and Tarantino got to say the N-word. I love that for him. I really do. This movie was a cultural reset for white boys who punch holes in their walls.
Kyle.
Yeah.
Did you start a call?
Favorite movie of Kyle's everywhere. People seem to be real butthurt by this movie, man. Like, I get, like, the racial slur shit is fucking awful.
The most awful things are the racial slurs and him saying the word retard.
But people have definitely... decided that only a very specific person likes this movie, and I don't think that's true. Like, that's why I started this with all of the top 10 lists it was on.
So they said this movie's in reverse. It's not in reverse.
It's not necessarily in reverse. It's all timey-wimey. It's scattered.
It's just kind of back and forth.
Right.
And you gotta put that together yourself.
Like, which isn't that hard if you take a second and think about it.
Yeah, you are piecing together what you see the same you do in daily life. Like, most of the time you do see things in chronological order. But not always.
When do you not see things in chronological order in daily life?
Like, if you're, like, detectives don't see things in chronological order.
Right, yeah.
They see the end. They have to work to the beginning.
Okay.
Doctors don't see shit from chronological order. They see the end, or they see the present state of whatever disease or trauma they're looking at. Then they work backwards to get the cause. Or they might know the cause instantly, but they just have to treat it.
So this last review, It has a half a star. I would like to believe that this person is being facetious and are not a fucking moron. Half a star. This movie sucks. Let me start with this. Who the hell wrote this movie? They keep switching the story for some reason, like they put a bunch of parts in the wrong order. The main guy, who dies on the toilet, shows up again later, alive somehow, which is just terrible attention to continuity. The story goes backwards and forwards at random parts and is out of order half the time. Part of it isn't even about the main two guys. The attention to detail in this film is pathetic. Parts of it are so boring too. I don't care about a $5 milkshake. I don't care about a watch that was in some guy's ass crack. What the hell?
Oh.
It wasn't in the crack. It was full up in there. If I want to watch people do coke, I'll watch Breaking Bad or some shit on Netflix or go down the street to my friend Mikey's house. If I wanted to see the old guy from Reservoir Dogs, I would just watch Reservoir Dogs. I hope this guy didn't do any more movies because he needs film school or something. Steer clear of this one if you have the chance. He has to be fucking joking, right?
No.
He has to know that it's Tarantino and that Tarantino did Film Dogs or Reservoir Dogs and that that's the same guy and that he did go to film. Like, he has to know all of this. Like, it's in that order on purpose. Like, he has to be joking, right?
No, they are dumb.
No, they're joking.
I'll tell you why. I'll save it for last. So, the whole continuity thing, they're dumb.
I think they're joking. I think it's all...
You could say they're joking, but the last one will get you. The watch was definitely not in the ass crack.
It wasn't in the crack.
Up the asshole because you're going to see if somebody's clenching their butt cheeks. And the Vietnam...
Especially after 5 years, that's buns of steel.
So the Vietnamese soldiers would have taken it away from them. Are they talking about Steve Buscemi in Reservoir Dogs?
No, they're talking about Quentin Tarantino.
But he's not the old guy.
I think he is.
Or are they talking about Mr. Wolf?
They're all in it. It doesn't matter if I can pick one.
Here's where I know they're stupid. Breaking Bad does not star coke.
No, it does not.
It's meth.
You're right.
Yeah. So if you want to see coke, you're not going to watch Breaking Bad.
It's still, he has to just be facetious.
Nah.
I refuse.
Complete dumbass.
I refuse. So I only have one rip from the movie, which is surprising with a cast this large, right?
There were a lot of people.
Yeah. The only one is Alexis Arquette.
Who was the guy in the bathroom?
Yes.
At
this point, the guy in the bathroom.
Yes.
Bathroom. Died on September 11th, 2016.
No, was that one... What did they die of?
Was put into a medically induced coma. Cause of death was ruled cardiac arrest caused by myocarditis stemming from HIV. Yeah, it's rough times.
So what do you give it?
I give it a half a star to drive the rating down.
Asshole.
I don't know, 3.5, 4. It's a fine movie. I'd like him to say the N-word a little less. I'm fine with the fox, but what do you give it?
I'd say 4. I'd say 4.
Yeah, I can see 4.
Like, people are going to always argue old movies are problematic because they're old movies.
And because they're problematic.
and if, so if you watch a movie that's 26 years old, and you can't tell that it's dated or changed in any way, you're probably living in a society that is tanking because you're not making any progress. Things aren't changing. Because if people are just okay with this, then you're like, oh,
people say, if you come back to me in 10 years and I have the exact same opinions I had 10 years ago, I'm failing as a person.
Yes, you haven't grown.
Right.
And it is very important that people know that it is okay to change your fucking mind.
Yes.
Like, if you learn new things and you're like, oh, well, when I was little, I used to think this, but now that I know these couple of things, I have changed that opinion. If you can't say that, then you need to kind of do some soul searching and figure yourself out because you're not advancing as a person.
Like, just as an example, say, if you started out in March or April and were like, I'm not wearing a mask doesn't do any good, and you are now learning different facts, it's okay to say, hey, I learned new stuff, and I now believe that it is okay to wear a mask and to wear that motherfucker so we can, like, have football season. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean, and people will stop dying, but, you know.
Save football season, too.
Yeah.
But it is okay to learn new things and be like, oh, well, I was wrong.
Right.
Now I believe this.
The issue is that Quentin Tarantino didn't change.
No.
It's 26 years later, and, like, what was his last one?
Hateful Eight?
Yeah, The Hateful Eight was fucking wild. It may have been worse than this one.
So he works with a lot of black actors.
Yeah. He seems to be besties with Samuel L. here.
Do you think that his public betrayal of all that in that issue is different from his private personal relationships
Samuel L.
with these people?
Jackson has come to his defense multiple times and said, Quentin Tarantino says he shouldn't be handicapped into not being able to write a specific character the way they would authentically speak.
Yes.
And I can agree with that. And Samuel L. Jackson has come to his defense a couple of times and said basically the same thing. But like you said, in the rest of the movie, I can kind of see it. But like Quentin Tarantino, personal use of it as Jimmy in this movie seems out of place.
Especially when you learn through the little...
That he's married to a black lady. He's talking to a black man. He's using hard NR on that. Like
NR? ER?
Hard ER on that. Like, it just seems real weird and out of place. I mean, it's his vision. Not for me to say, but...
I believe you can say whatever the fuck you want to say. People will think differently of us because we say the word fuck a lot. But I don't really care what other people do. You can say what you want to say. You can think what you want to think. But that doesn't mean there are not consequences. Like if I go to a job interview and I'm just like, yeah, I worked at this fucking place and that fucking place. Like I'm free to say that. But one of the consequences might be that I do not get hired because that person disagrees with my gratuitous use of the F word. Like if you want to say the N word, that's your problem. That it's most likely not going to affect me. I hope. But there are consequences for certain people.
So here's a quote from him, from Samuel L. Jackson about it. He said it's about Quentin Tarantino's use of the word. Samuel L. Jackson was even more outspoken about letting Tarantino write the way Tarantino wants to write. It's some bullshit, Jackson said about the criticisms lobbed at the director. Jackson said about the criticism lobbed at the director, when we did Pulp, I warned Quentin about the whole N-word storage. I was like, don't say N-word storage. He was like, no, I'm gonna say it like that. And we tried to soften it by making his wife black because that wasn't originally written. But you can't just tell a writer he can't talk. Write the script, put the words in the mouths of the people from their ethnicities, the way that they use the words. You cannot do that because it becomes an untruth. It's not honest, it's just not honest. Jackson added that he often adds more uses of the word himself beyond what Tarantino has written on the page. Generally, I add like 5 N-words to what Quentin has already written just because I'm talking. So, I mean, there's Samuel Jackson's defense of it. So take that for what you want to take that as. So, in wrapping it up, I give it a 3.5. You give it a 4?
4.
It's problematic, but it's Quentin Tarantino to a T, and he ain't changing anytime soon.
I feel like it mostly holds up.
Yeah, it's good for what it is. Oh, we didn't talk about how much money this thing made. So it's an indie film. It cost $8.5 million to make, and $5 million of that was just the actors' salaries. Its first weekend, it made $9.3 million. It took it 178 days to get to $100 million. And the article I read was like, in comparison, it took Harry Potter blah 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 2 days to get to $100 million. And I was like, yeah, and an apple's not an orange. Like, what the fuck? It was like the third or fourth one. And I was like, you can't compare a $100 million budget movie in a series of movies to a small independent film made in the 90s. Like, what the fuck? But it has now grossed $213.9 million.
Woo!
So it's doing fine. Where there are all the people that gave it a half a star just because they were wronged by some guy at some point in their life, like it or not.
Yeah, a lot of man haters on there.
A lot of problems. A lot of reviews that I didn't capture and talked about how they had to watch it in film class, and all the guys liked it, and they didn't like that because of that. One of them was like, my ex showed it to me, and I liked it at that time, but now I hate him, so I hate this movie, so fuck it, 0.5 star. And just weird shit. Now, I took 2 different film study courses in college because I just needed to fill in my schedule, and in neither of them did we watch this.
You got the haters.
I guess.
But I don't understand the whole not liking something because everybody else likes it.
They're hipsters, man.
I think that's what hipsters don't want, though.
So, like, our nephew loves him some Juice WRLD. Jason just died a little inside because since he died, he was a little bit before, but since Juice WRLD died, he will tell you nonstop facts about Juice WRLD. Like, he needs Juice WRLD to be everybody's favorite person. And if they're not, he gets super offended. But the other day, he told somebody, I liked Juice WRLD before he died. You're not allowed to like him after he died. That's not okay. Only people that liked him before he died were his true fans. So he's a bit of like a hipster. Juice WRLD is kind of the same thing with this. Like, people like it, so people don't like it because it's too mainstream now. And now that Juice WRLD died and people discovered him and liked him, like, he doesn't feel like that's okay because he was there from the beginning and you're not a true fan. You know, people just like things differently and make up arbitrary rules about it.
Yeah, but if you're a true fan, you would want everybody to like him. Which he kind of does.
It's weird because he gets real upset if everybody doesn't like him, but if you like him after he died, then that's not okay either.
But he has this in his head that this is the only time that any kind of artist has died at a young age, and Juice WRLD's the best one ever. Like, which maybe I'll change my mind later, but I am of the opinion that he is not the greatest young person to ever die.
He, for some reason, has latched onto him in a very big, big way. It makes him feel some type of way. I imagine that this is how people acted when Kurt Cobain died. Like, I was too young to give a shit about music and I didn't care. But, like, I know people were, like, in the streets crying and shit. Somebody should tell him about Kurt Cobain.
Get him in a room with, like, a person who loved Nirvana and Kurt Cobain equally as him, and then listen to them duke it out over it. Like, I wasn't really hit by the whole Kurt Cobain thing that hard because everybody had heard a couple of their songs because this was still back when MTV had a little bit of music, and they had their whole set where they played.
Kurt Cobain died in '94.
The Unplugged series, and I'd seen that and I liked it, but it wasn't like I was a huge fan, and I was like, man, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Now, when Bradley Nowell died of Sublime, that hit a little harder, but I wasn't going around like, did you know he had a Dalmatian?
Like, I was a big Tupac fan when he died. Like, I had all his CDs, like, Tupac. I had posters on the wall, and he died, and I didn't make that anybody else's problem.
I had to tell him the other day, be like, listen, dude, I know you like him, and I'm glad you found something you like. But let me not hear about it for a minute.
I know so many facts about Juice WRLD, I've started to forget facts about my friends and family.
But are they really facts about Juice WRLD? Because sometimes he mixes stories up. He's usually right about Juice WRLD. But he can also be repeating just random shit from the internet.
If it's on the internet, he believes it 100%. He's full on going to get kidnapped and shipped to Siberia or something.
He doesn't go to the internet. Strictly YouTube.
Yeah.
He doesn't read anything.
Yeah.
It's strictly YouTube videos. He's going to get sucked up into a YouTube cult.
Yeah.
We're going to have to watch for that.
We took a weird turn here.
Yeah.
People like things differently.
Yes. And just because you like something differently than other people doesn't mean they like it less or more. You both fucking like it, get over it.
And you don't have to give it faulty ratings online to bring it down.
Way to be an asshole. So, I gave it a 4. You gave it a 3.5?
Yeah.
That's been Run It Back for Pulp Fiction. I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah. You can visit our website at runitbackpodcast.com. It has all the links to our social media. It has links to the different podcast apps that you can play our podcast on, and you can play it straight from the website. That's runitbackpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe where you can. Tell your friends about it. And if you hate us, tell your enemies about it, and get some revenge. Are you okay?
Nah, I'm pretty fucking far from okay. Zed's dead, baby?